Welcome back, my friends, for another fun reloading video. Today we are loading up a bucket here full of 308 Winchester. We are using the Shooter's World Tactical Rifle Powder, and if you remember in their manual they list a specific load that we tried cloning, I guess, a little while back. You can refer to that video. Pretty crappy results, actually, if you remember. But that's because my freaking stock wasn't screwed into my action and it was all wobbly, and that's what we ended up with. I didn't notice that until way after the fact, but the next day I went back, shot another 10-shot group at 100 yards, and that was right at exactly 1 inch there. I'm pretty happy with that. Good enough for some blasting ammo at least, so that's what we are working on here. That was the 168 grain Sierra Match King. We're using Federal FC14 head stamps here with Federal large rifle primers. We're not crimping at all, but we're seating over here with the Redding micrometer die. Really love that thing. And once again, Shooter's World Tactical Rifle, 42.5 grains. Boom. That's a half grain under their maximum, but they recommend it in the book using Winchester brass. I don't have Winchester brass, so we're using what we've got. I tested a little bit of it, so I know it's safe in this brass, and it shoots pretty well, so that's what we're rolling with. Right now, real quick, I'm just touching up these case mounts after they got wet tumbled. Sometimes your chamfer on the inside gets kind of worn out, so then you're back to a square case mount. And sometimes that'll maybe scrape the jacket off your bullet during seating or make that a little rougher than it needs to be. So I'm just barely breaking the edge there to help that bullet slide in. So this only takes a quick second, and we'll try to hold it this direction so the shavings fall down rather than into the case. Case prep has been completed. We're going to go ahead and make sure our powder measure here is still dialed in. I did move it from over on the shelf to over here on the press mount. It's just clamped on there with a cheap, crappy Harbor Freight clampy dude. But it's pretty secure as long as I don't knock into it or do something stupid. So we're going to get this dialed in, and then we'll start seating some bullets here and knocking out some of these casings. All right, the digital scale is reading 42.4. Let's see what the beam scale says. And that one says we're spot on at 42.5, and I trust that analog equipment more than I do this 20-year-old digital scale. So between the two readings, we're spot on. So we're good to go. We're going to start right now. Oh, it's all smooth since we touched up those case mounts. And there's our first piece of ammo for the day. Isn't that just beautiful? And you hear people talking about, you know, oh, I need a progressive press because I'm so slow on a single stage. Well, in today's case, our brass is already prepped, so we're not sizing. It's not a pistol case, so we're not expanding out our mouth. We're already primed, all that stuff. We don't have to do any more case prep. So all we do is dump our powder and seat the bullet, and we're done. Like, that's as much time as it takes. And once we get into a rhythm, you'll see that you can load pretty efficiently on a single stage. Maybe try and get a little peek of that case fill. Yep, same stuff we got the other day. Looks good right down there below the shoulder. It is not a full case at all. It's a little bit of a faster burning powder, something along the lines of H335. But some of those slower powders, you get to 45, 46, 48 grains sometimes. Uh-oh, almost knocked the powder measure. I'm gonna go ahead and run that one a couple times since I bumped it. Okay. Good to go. I just didn't want that next charge to be off at all because I, bumped the handle off. Because your powder measure technique doesn't really matter so much if you bump once or twice at the top or at the bottom, as long as you do it the same way every single time. So if I dialed it in for my charge, doing it twice, that's probably getting a little more powder than if I did it once. That would be a light throw, and we don't like that. We want them all to be the exact same. And of course, when we're seating, like I was saying, I don't have a run out gauge or any way to measure concentricity, but you hear it's better to seat the bullet, come out a little bit, rotate 90, maybe 180 degrees, and seat again. This is supposed to aid in concentricity, keeping that bullet straight in the case the whole way out instead of being kind of crooked or off tilt a degree or two. So has anyone ever actually measured that? Seating once versus seating twice? Because if you're on a progressive, boom, you touch it once, it spins to the next station. You touch it once, so you don't have that option if you're over on a progressive. Has anyone tested that? Show me some studies. Give me some links. You got a cool video? Show me. Because I don't have a concentricity gauge or any of that stuff, so if you have taken the time to do that, I'd love to hear your stories. Wow, good catch. So it's been pretty nasty as far as weather the last few weeks. Did anybody get any of that ice storm that came through? Here in Tennessee, we had about 2 days of quarter inch of ice or so. Maybe not a quarter inch, 0.2 or something, somewhere in there. Lots of places were shut down, Here in the South, we ain't got no snow trucks. So, in the county I'm in, there's maybe 1 or 2 that can only really salt the main roads. So basically everything shuts down. And as far as the salting and all that goes, that only works within a certain temperature range. So if it's too cold, then it can't melt, and then, whatever. Science. All the sciencey things that I'm too stupid to actually understand. Might have to add some powder to the hopper there soon. You can't really see from your angle, but I just keep a funnel stuck in the top that I move from, powder measure to the jug or wherever I'm dumping the powder to and from. It's nice to have a funnel. And over time it gets nice and seasoned, if you will, with powder residue and whatnot, so the static electricity doesn't stick anymore. And it helps your powder flow through once you get that funnel nice and seasoned. But once again, as you can tell, brass is prepped. This takes absolutely no time to dump powder and seat the bullet. You can easily do a couple hundred of these in an hour if you're prepped and set up, brass primed and all that. If you had an automatic powder measure, a charge master or something like that, you could have it pouring and getting the next one ready as I'm seating right now. So that would be pretty efficient. But I really like my good old Uniflow. There's nothing wrong with this except my this little green guy here getting pretty old and worn out. I think this is like the first generation Uniflow, so I don't know if they make these green tubies anymore. or if they're clear, or I think it's got a screw-in sort of adapter here rather than a press fit. So I might be screwed if that one ever breaks. You think they'd replace it, or this, or, you know, I'm gonna just try to not break it so I don't have to deal with finding a new powder measure, but it is getting a little worn out because you can pull this out and then, you know, hit it with an air gun or whatever, blow out any of that extra powder that you can't really get to. So our powder is getting pretty low here. I'm going to go ahead and fill her back up so we have the same sort of weight and compression on the powder column, which should give you more accurate and consistent throws. Rather than when it's light here, there's less weight pressing down, so when you go to fill that up, you might get less than if it's a heavier column of powder on top there. So we're going to fill her back up here and keep her rocking. And I'll go right to the top where this funnel meets the actual powder measure, so when we come out a little bit, we're just under filled, we're just under full, we're just under capacity there. Yeah, that works. Make sure that's tied in there. And let's make sure that we're still getting the same throw with the heavier column of powder now. And I'll always throw a couple just to make sure it's settled. And remember to stay consistent with your technique. Okay, dump them back in. And then so if this throw is, you know, plus or minus a tenth on the scales, I'm happy with that. Actually, it's dead balls on 42.5. Let's check the beam scale. Boom, that's just beautiful. Let's get back to it. So anyways, how's everyone else's weather been? Did you get caught in the winter storm? Because it's been really crappy for a few months, and you know, it's not so fun going to the range when it's 20 degrees and the wind slices through you. And then, you know, your gun's made of metal and that's cold and it's difficult to shoot. And I'm not really doing any running and gunning or anything cool like that, so I don't need to train in adverse conditions. Except, you know, for the apocalypse, it's good to be out every once in a while just to get used to it, but every weekend it's not that fun. So it's loading season around these parts. If you might have noticed, I'm pretty good at stockpiling shit, but I'm not that great at loading it. So I found a load I like here. I'm going to load up some more than, you know, 10 or 20 or 50 of them. And this will be a good one to keep on hand to take to the range for practice and training and improving my marksmanship rather than just trying to test out different components constantly. Because, you know, once upon a time, before I started reloading, I like to shoot, right? So I concentrated on shooting, but since I got into reloading, it's just like, ooh, let me play with this toy. Let me try this. Let's try that fun thing. And so that's all just fun and games and all, but I need to go out and do some shooting and stay better practiced on that, along with the reloading practices. You know, it's the whole hobby that ties all together. Because it doesn't matter if you make match grade ammunition if your marksmanship skills are total crap. Vice versa, if you're a super awesome marksman, cool guy, it makes sense to tailor your ammo to your specific guns and what you're shooting. So I'm trying to make it come full circle, right? You know, I need to focus on the shooting portion again. as well as continue on with reloading. Because this loading stuff is pretty fun, especially when you find something that works. You can just, instead of buying a few pounds at a time, if you see an 8-pounder available, you can get that. You'll save some money per pound. And maybe if you go in with a buddy or something, you'll split the hazmat costs, or if it's local, even better. So, you know, aside from the being crappy at loading up ammo and just having components stockpiled, it's good to have something on hand that you can pump stuff out with. Turn it into ammo rather than the components sitting around. Don't know where that rant came from, but I've only got this tiny little 30 cal can here. I don't think I'm going to be able to fill it up with this matching lot of brass, and I'm not going to mix anything else into it. So, oh, we got a badass over there taking off at the street light. Anyways, yeah, got a few back here to finish processing, or rather, you know, just touch those necks up and continue loading, but that'll be for our next episode, I reckon. Dang it, now there's a chopper. Guys, I'm trying to film here and you're all quiet on the set out there. Quiet on the set out there on the road, okay? Appreciate it. Actually, who invited those guys? I mean, they're always just causing ruckus and being all loud as heck. With their helicopters and their freaking wheelies and donuts and... I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. But that's cool, because we're just loading up some ammo, brother. I need to get a coffee, you know, and we can have ourselves a nice coffee chat. You guys remember back in the day when Fortune Cookie and everybody was doing the coffee chats? That's pretty fun, right? Surprised no one was like, let's do a whiskey chat, okay? Every time we load around, we're gonna take a sip, okay? It's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm surprised no one did any of that stupid stuff. That'd get you some... either get you in trouble, you know, because YouTube is silly, or get you a lot of clicks because it's retarded and people would laugh at it. Anyways, yeah, the coffee chats, that was a good series of video that Fortune Cookie started. He still has them on his channel, of course. So go and check those out, because they're not actually loading or shooting or anything. They're just discussing things over a nice cup of joe in the morning. But you got... there's some with Elvis and Thorzak's and, you know, a couple others. A couple of the classics. They've got a couple of coffee chats and VRs back and forth. And if you follow the playlist, I think Fortune Cookie put them all in order or whatever. So that's a pretty cool playlist to go check out if you just want kind of a chill discussion style video. Still about shooting and loading and all that, so pretty cool. I guess that's what this is, but I ain't got no coffee. Okay, this is now officially a coffee chat. And we've got our favorite treat yourself mug, because every once in a while, girl, you gotta get yourself some shit you like, because you deserve it. And I don't drink it black no more, because it upsets my stomach. So we got us a little half and half in there. But anyways, let's get back to loading it up. Well, that could have been the dumbest stuff I've ever done here on the channel. If you feel like unsubscribing, I won't hold it against you. Anyways, we are knocking the rest of these out here, and then we're going to put them away for storage until I want to go shooting. How about that? Yeah, this is loading season here. Here's our last one for the night, folks. And after this, we'll go ahead and double check our powder measure just to be sure we've been consistent throughout the night. It's always good to double check that. Some people like to do it maybe every 5 or, oh, god damn. Coming in hot. Every 5 or 10 throws, some people like to do it. All good. I just didn't quite have it into the shell holder before we ran it home. All good though. Anyways, so let's go ahead and double check our powder throw here. Dump this guy back in. Same technique, same everything. Let's see what the scale says for us. Bingo. This one is good over here. Let's check the old digital here just as a second reference. And this one is a 1/10 lower, but again, between the two, same exact readings we had at the start. So that means our powder measure here is throwing the exact same charge all night long. Well, there we go. That's filling up the can with some 308. We do have a couple more pieces to go through, so stay tuned for more loading here. Single stage, I told you guys you can knock out quite a few pretty quick as long as you got your brass prepped already. So that's my method because I don't want lube and sticky crap all in my stuff and having to worry about sizing and, well, do I need to trim this one? Okay, let me segregate the trim versus the not trim, and then, you know, you're all over the place and all I want to do is throw some powder and seat the bullets right now. So we are good to go there. Anyways, thanks again for hanging out, guys. We'll see you in the next video.